Hello, good afternoon. It's Monica from Life is Art, and this is the Saturday 3:30 p.m. demo at the 007 online crop. And if you are joining me this afternoon to watch live, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. And if you're watching later on replay, you can say replay, and then I know who's come and joined us afterwards. I am going to be working with the Friendly Borders card making workshop kit. I'm only going to be doing one card, but it's my favorite card from the kit. It's the whole reason I purchased the kit, because I'm in love with the stamp that's used on it, and I have a real thing for houses, windows, doors, that kind of thing. And so this stamp set that comes with the Friendly Borders kit, and this is part of the National Scrapbooking Day special. So today, hooray, is National Scrapbooking Day. So I thought I would show you this project. It's just card number 1, but aren't these borders so cute? There's a whole row of little birdies. Then there's this sentiments, tweet birthday wishes. A little birdie told me it was your birthday. Then this is my favorite one, this row of houses, and I just had to have it. And I think it's so sweet. Then we've got some arrows, hoping everything is good in your new hood. Then we've got another one, new beginnings, new memories, new home. There's this little curly dotted line. Then there's also this whole bevy of hearts going across, another arrow, lots of love coming your way. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then there's some arrows. And then there's a beautiful little border of springtime or summertime flowers and foliage going across the bottom. So the one that we're going to be using today is, of course, the little houses, because I could not wait any longer. I needed to do this card. So I was working on it this afternoon during chat and craft, and oh my goodness, it is so sweet. So you're going to see it come together. Good afternoon, Laura. Thank you for joining. And Deborah, yay, Laura, you made it live. Perfect. And Deborah's here too. So again, if you're joining me, just say hello so I know who's here. So we're going to start with some stamping right off the bat. I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of paper here to help me along the way. And the first thing I need to have is this little tiny piece of white daisy cardstock that has been cut to 2 1/4 inch square. And I need to stamp part of the row of houses on here, about 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom. So I'm going to put it here at the bottom of my cardstock and line my cardstock up on my Versamat so I can kind of eyeball where 3/4 of an inch is. I've got my row of little houses already lined up on my long skinny block. This particular acrylic block is great for doing borders, and this is 1 inch by 6.5 inches. So if you don't have one of these, it's really helpful. And we're going to use our intense black ink because we are going to be doing some work with markers on this. Now, according to the instructions, we need to stamp a certain part of the houses. We're going to do the very beginning of the row of stamped houses. So we're going to just ink up this little chunk here at the beginning. And again, I said 3/4 of an inch up. Just going to make sure I've got lots of ink on there. I even smooshed it. So 3/4 of an inch up. And just stick her down. I'm going to give it a little press here because I'm in the middle of my warpy table. There we go. Look at those. Aren't they so cute? And then we need a second row of houses because we're going to layer them up. So I've already gone ahead and stamped that out on a separate piece of paper. That was part of the instructions in the kit. But I need to mark off which of the houses we're going to actually be using and coloring so that I don't color the whole row because I only want to spend time today. So the first house we need is this one. So I'm just going to take my pen and draw a line through the house beside it so that I know this is where I need to start coloring. And then we're going to go all the way over to this house here. And so I'm going to just draw another line right there. And that will be my start and stop for coloring. It's a good thing to do that. You could continue coloring, of course, if you wanted to make your card horizontal. You certainly could. But for what we're doing, according to the workshop, this is what we need. Okay, so we have those two items. I'm going to just set them aside for a moment because we also need to stamp some sentiments. And the original, I'm modifying mine a little bit because I don't have anybody that I'm sending a card to who's moved into a new house. So to make it more usable for me, I'm switching from new beginnings, new memories, new home to lots of love coming your way because, you know, your mail comes to your house or at least your mailbox in your neighborhood. And so I thought this one, lots of love coming your way, would work for a nice happy mail card or something like that. And so just going to peel that off, walking it along, making sure we get it all. But I wanted to show you a little bit of a tip. I'm actually going to need to use this stamp in two separate pieces. And you know what? To be honest, I probably will use it in two separate pieces a lot. And so instead of dealing with the whole masking and all that jazz, I'm going to show you that you can actually cut your stamps. Now, some people get a little antsy about that. Hey, Allison. They get a little antsy about cutting your stamps, but because they think, oh, I'll never line it back up again. But there is a way to do it so that it's safe and so that you can kind of line it up a little bit better later on. So I'm going to divide it between lots of love and coming your way. So I'm going to divide it between those two. I'm going to turn it over to the side where the raised portion of the stamp is. My hands are jiggling like crazy right now. I don't know why. And what I want to do is I want to trim just on the back base part of the stamp. I don't want to damage any of the parts. So I'm using my micro tip scissors and I'm going to come in at an angle from the bottom like that and make a little snip. And then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to come from the top and I'm going to change my angle. So I'm creating a little bit of a point. And what that's going to do, and it might take an extra little moment just to make sure you get to the center. Because I've created now a little V, if I want to use my stamp all together as one solid stamp, I can just kind of puzzle piece that V together and use it that way. Because I didn't just cut a straight line. So let me, my hands are jiggling and I'm trying to be careful. And of course on live video, there we go. That last little notch. So if I set this down here and lift it up so you can see with all my hand jiggling, you can see now that I've created sort of like a little puzzle piece that I can put them together. And yes, Laura's saying, scary, but I have done this many times. If I know that there are stamps that I'm going to often use as separate pieces, because I could even use lots of love just as its own sentiment. So instead of masking every time, you can cut your stamps. I know it's scary, but you can do it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up my lots of love onto my stamp block, and I'm just going to set this one aside for a second because I need to do some stamping. So I've got a little tiny piece, and because I'm using a slightly larger sentiment, I have increased the height of my little piece. So this is actually 1 3/4 inches by 1/2 inch. It's a little bit bigger than what the original piece was. And so if you're using a kit, you are totally allowed to change things in the kit. You don't have to follow every direction exactly as it is. I'm just putting that out there. I know we're tempted to do that, but you can go off-roading, as we call it around here. So I've inked that up, and I'm going to stamp it a little bit towards the left. I'm hopefully in the center. I can't really see because I've got myself at a weird angle. But there's our lots of love, and I'm just going to clean this off so I can add my other sentiment onto my block. Got my stamp chamois here, and I can just clean that up. Easy peasy. Gonna take this one off. Again, we're gonna walk it. And then let's get our coming your way. So there's our lots of love. Our second piece has, again, been cut a little bit larger than it normally would have. So it's 2 3/4 inches wide by 3/4 of an inch high. And so this one, I can move my scrap paper now. We're going to stamp sort of in the center, slightly to the right, but we're going to stamp at the top because we also have some little arrows that we're going to stamp on this. So let's stamp this slightly to the right, but up to the top, just like that, coming your way. And I'm actually giving it too much pressure because I get so paranoid about my desk that I put too much pressure. And if you put too much pressure on a text, then you tend to make a little bit of a blob. And that's what I did, but that's okay. If I decide later that I don't want it like that, I can restamp it. But for now, I'm going to leave it that way. Now I've got my little row of chevrons. I'm going to ink this one up, and I'll try to be a little more delicate. And then this one is going to be right over to the right. Add our little chevrons on there. And all done. That's our stamping done. And now on this one, we're going to add a little bit of color. And we have a whole heap of markers. Look at this. All of these tri-blend markers we're going to use for this project. So we're going to be using dark red, hydrangea, aqua blue, gold yellow, ice gray, pale pink, and light green. And it's a nice little collection of colors there. So we're going to start with our gold yellow. And we're going to go to the mid-tone. And we're going to do the first one, and then we're going to skip 3. And we're going to do another one, and skip 3. Do another one, skip 3, and do another one. We're just adding a little bit of color on those chevrons. And then we're going to grab our pale pink. And we'll go for the mid one, and we're going to do this one, and then we're going to skip to Maloo. And then we're going to bring in the aqua blue, and might as well use the mid one on this. We're going to add a little bit of color, and then our dark red. And for the dark red, I'm actually going to use the light because it's really dark. So we might as well go for the light. And there we go. So those are ready. We can set those aside. We'll pull them back out again when we get to the part where we have to put those on our card. But now we need to do some coloring. So we have our 2 sets of houses here. We're going to start with our background. And the first little house here, we're going to color it pink. Now you can follow the directions the way they're given. You can totally mix and match. You can pick your own colors. Like I said, it's totally up to you. But I'm going to kind of follow what they did in the kit just for the sake of showing you. And maybe I'll color that too. So that was the pale pink mid-tone. Then we're going to move to the aqua. We're going to use the middle one for this one. For some reason, the nib on this particular marker looks to be a lot longer than the other ones. And somebody, Samantha, was replacing nibs on markers, and I'm wondering if my nib is moved. Or whether it's just my eyeballs think it's stuck out farther. Now you have to kind of go gently on this because there's a lot of little spots. So it takes a moment, but try your best. And just color all the way around like that. And then we've got our sun in the background. We're going to start with the yellow gold, and we're going to use the light for the inside of the sun. And then the mid for around the outside little bits of the sun. I like the color combination that they're using here. It works well. The coordinating papers that come in this kit are the papers, the coordinating cardstock from Dreammaker, which is super fun. And then I'm going to color my little tree. I'm going to use the light green, and I'm going to use the mid color first. And this little tree is actually a little bushy tree, and then it's got little leaves inside. And you know, I'm thinking my camera is pretty far away for this coloring. If you'll bear with me for half a second, I'm going to see if I can bring my camera down a little closer so you can see, and hopefully not make you all dizzy. Hopefully that's a little better. You can see what's going on. I don't often do that, but I was just thinking that it looked a little too far away. See if we can get it straight. Maybe I'll just move my Versamat. Might be easier than moving the camera when we're this close. Alrighty, so I think that's good. Now, for the next little house, we're going to go back to the aqua blue. Why not? Repeat some colors. And we're going to color this little guy. One thing I was telling the ladies this afternoon is I really need to get my eyes tested. And I think I have, like my doctor says, women of a certain age. I think I have hit that age where I'm probably going to need bifocals. Bifocals. Yes, Laura, the Misty is great for stamping up things, right? But I find even my Misty, I have trouble on my table. I have to bring it right to the edge of the table to get a good blend. So now I'm going to use my ice gray to color up this house. Now you'll notice that I'm kind of skipping over the roofs, and that's because we're going to come back and do those once I've colored all the houses. So let's just color. One nice thing is this is a daytime row of houses, so we don't need to do anything with the windows. We can just leave them as they are. And that's how we're going to do it. We're going to leave them as they are. And then I'm going to use my gold yellow for this last house, and I'm going to use the light color and just color it in. If you were trying to make a silhouette row of houses, you could absolutely have some light coming out of the windows and all that, but you would lose a lot of the little details that you have here on this row of houses if you did it as a nighttime one. But it could be doable. Now we're moving to the ice gray because we're going to do our roof line here. So there's a little extra roof that's come off. We're moving to the dark gray for this. And we're just going to go ahead and color our little roofs and chimneys. And you want to really kind of focus using the tip of your marker when you're trying to get into the tight little corners. You want to just barely touch the paper. Oops, I went outside the lines. That's okay. Because if you push down on it, you're going to get a wider line. So you just kind of, you're just glancing it. Oops, I missed a roof. This little guy down here, he was hiding. I love this. It just looks like a cute little row of houses. Any little streetscape. And then we're also going to bring in the pink and the mid pink and just do this little awning here. Just like that, to add a little bit of interest. Okay, now the last step that we need to do with this one is, let me grab my scrap paper. We need to color the grass and our tree. I forgot the tree. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to come up a little bit between the houses like this, just a little touch, because that kind of gives some ground for our tree to sit on. And in this little gap here, and this little gap here. And then all we're going to do is we're going to color this whole bottom of the paper. So my hand is shaking like crazy. I don't know what's going on there. You know what? I had some caffeine. That's probably what it is. I haven't had any caffeine for a while, and I drank some tea today that actually has caffeine in it, as opposed to the, fruit teas or the decaffeinated teas that I have. That's what it is. Look at that. You can tell. Oh my goodness. Such a difference it makes when you haven't had caffeine for a while. You get the shakes. So there, we've colored that. And then, of course, we need to come in and color the little tree trunk with our little gold yellow. There we go. We don't want to miss any little details. So that is now done. We're going to do one more thing in a minute, but let's skip over to this particular set. And we're going to start with this second house in, and we're going to color it with the mid of the aqua blue. I don't know about you, but I find things that are like this kind of relaxing to do, as long as my eyeballs can see it. There's the craze that kind of came, I don't know if it's still around, but the adult coloring books, and people were just finding that it was kind of a stress reliever, right? Because it's not requiring you to be artsy when you color. All you're doing is filling in what's already been drawn for you. And so when you stamp something and then color it in, it's about the same, right? You're not having to, other than picking what color you want, you're not having to be artistic per se. Especially tiny little things like this. There's not much that you need to do. So that was the light gold yellow. And then I'm going to use the light red and color the door on this house. Just like that. And these ones, they're so tiny. You're not doing any shading or anything like that. Let's grab our pale pink. And we're going to go for the mid of the pale pink. And color this little guy in. So let me know in the comments, are you somebody who likes coloring? We're going to grab our light green and use the mid color on the tree. And then the 4 little leaves, we'll give them a little touch with the darker end of the green. We also need to do the mid gold yellow for this tree trunk. And then our next little house, we're going to go back to the aqua. We're liking this aqua. And we'll do this one with the mid as well. And color it all in. All the little details. I haven't been looking at the comments, but I'm going to take a second here and just glance over. Yes, the age of bifocals. I know I'm not alone in this. Laura loves coloring. Allison loves coloring. Fabulous. I do too. Now we're going to grab the green. We're going to give this aqua house a green door, just for the fun of it. Might even go for the dark green. There we go. And then our last little house, we're going to color it gray. We're going to use the mid gray on here. Just like this. Going to go in and around all the little bits. Like so. And I love this. I'm going to color this little half moon there. And then we're going to switch over to the dock side of the gray. And we're going to do the awnings and the roofs. And color those all in. This is a very monochromatic house. This one on the end here. We're going to give our little roof and our chimney a little treatment. I kind of like that all the roofs are basically the same color, because that kind of keeps your eyes from going too wonky. We're also going to leave a couple of these shingles. We're going to do something a little different here. We're going to leave a couple shingles uncolored, and then we're going to come in with the light gray and just add a little color. Look at that. We're even doing some little bit of funkiness. Nobody said it had to be boring. And go back to the dark gray. A little chimney. You don't want to be coloring when you cough, when you're doing tiny little things like this. You have to take a pause for a second. Pardon me. Okay. And this green. There is a little bit of green because this tiny little part of the tree is going to show when I snip it. And then also we're going to add some green here in between the houses like we did on the other one. It probably wasn't necessary on the other one, but on this one it is. So we're going to add some green in between, just like this. Oh, goodness. Sorry about that. I'm going to take a sip of water here in a second. There we go. One moment, please. Okay. Now, we'll see how I do with fussy cutting when my hands are shaking. I'm going to raise this back up a little bit. And bear with me because it'll take me a second to figure this out and get us back on track. Okay. Now, let me just grab something here. I was using a substandard 3D foam tape earlier. And if you ever get a little bit of adhesive on your scissors, these are nonstick scissors, so it comes off pretty easy. But if you ever get adhesive on there, use your rub and remove eraser and just keep track of where you are because, you know, you don't want to stab yourself with the scissors. But you can easily just get that adhesive off and then you're good to go. All right, so let's start trimming. And this is one of the times where we're not leaving a halo. We're not leaving extra space. We're going to try and cut pretty much right up against that line. Let me move that out of the way. And I'm going to cut some of this excess off. I can cut this off. And we're just going to fussy cut out our little houses all along. Try not to lose any chimneys. But if you do, it's not the end of the world. All the way along. My eyes have gone blurry now. My hand is shaking. There we go. Around the little tree. Up the roof. It's because I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing. So my eyes are like, no, we're not going to focus now. I'm holding it too close. Got to back it away. It's when you get to that age where you start playing the trombone while you're trying to look at stuff. You got to figure out where's the best spot to hold it. I went a little wide there. I'm going to trim that. Get rid of the excess. And so there's very few times when I'm fussy cutting where I say, okay, you can trim right on the line. Paper piecing is one of them, and this is one of them, and I'm so excited. I just had to get this kit for these little houses. I think I'm going to have to use them on a couple layouts and all sorts of places because I'm loving it. And there we go. And now we need to also trim down at the bottom. You don't have to be so exact. So I'm just going to kind of work my way along the row of houses. That's why it was nice that we did the green so that it didn't have to be precise. We could leave that little bit of green still showing. All right, I know that took a hot minute or 10 or 20, but it's worth it. It is. We're going to go ahead and add some foam tape on the back of this row of houses. And this is going to look so cool. I know, because I made one. Made one already, just so I knew what I was doing. Now, before I stick this on, I need to do one more thing. Let me bring in my scrap paper. We're going to take our Glacier ink, and our blending brush, and we're going to add just a little bit of color in the sky above our houses. So we want to avoid blending too much on top of the houses, but we're just going to add a little bit of sky color on here with the Glacier. A nice little glow of blue. And that's all we need, just a little touch. And it looks so cute. Then we can go ahead and stick our little row of houses on. You know what? Maybe before we stick the houses on, we'll stick these onto the little piece that's been cut, just to be a little frame. So this is a 2.5 inch square. And we're putting our 2.25 inch square that we've stamped and colored on top. Trying to center it on there like that. Oh my goodness, so sweet. And then we're going to put our little row of houses. We want to make sure, I'm going to have to lift this up. We want to make sure that we can see some of the houses from behind, but not everything. Just enough. I'm going to move it down just a smidge. Just a smidge. Like so. And there we go. You can kind of play with it however you like it. Isn't that so sweet? Oh my goodness. I can't even. Now we need to bring in the ballerina cardstock. That's the really fun sort of alcohol ink textured cardstock from the collection. I'm going to sit it down here on the bottom of my Versamat because I want to attach some strips of paper. So we've got Sundance, we've got Rosie. This is a new color that's coming out for next year. There's some silver glitter paper. Then there's this Lagoon. These strips are all 3.25 inches by 5/8. And then this one is 3.25 by 1/4 of an inch. And so we're going to stick these on. Let me try and remember. I'm actually going to measure here. We're going to stick them on 1.5, 1.75 inch down from the top of this paper. So let me see. That's 1.25, 1.75. Let's go to 1.75. And then we can line it up here and hopefully get it straight on my weird angle that I'm working on. These are such fun colors and they coordinate so nicely with the markers. Oh, thank you, Laura. Yes, I come by my fussy cutting honestly. My mom is very good at it as well. And then whenever I use glitter paper like this and it's a thin little strip, I find it's just the easiest to add a little row of liquid glue onto your paper and then just attach this. Because it's already 1/4 inch, my double-sided adhesive is 1/4 inch and I would never get it on there straight. So the liquid glue helps me out and it's so much easier. And then our last little strip we're adding on here, the Lagoon colored one. And there we go. Now we can go ahead and bring in our Slimline card base. It's already pre-scored and that's included in the workshop kit. All the card bases and envelopes. And we just fold it there, crease it down, make sure we've got our opening, they're going the right way. And then we can stick this on here, centering it onto the page. This one, I don't think I gave you the measurement, is 3.25 by 8.25. And of course, a Slimline is 3.5 by 8.5. So that lets us have a nice little white border around, just like we have a nice little white border around this. We're going to attach this with some foam tape. I'm going to use the thin foam tape so it's not going to give as much bulk. And just stick that on all the way around. And There we go. And I realize now that you can't see the bottom of the card because I'm a little closer than I usually am with the camera. There we go. One more. And oh my gosh, I'm just loving this. It is so sweet. I just knew I was going to love this. There we go. Just center that on there. And then we have our sentiments. We've got our lots of love coming your way. And we're going to add some dovetail detail on here. So we're going to snip in the center. And then we're going to come from the corner to the top of the snip. And then from the top corner to the top of the snip. And then on this one, we're going to snip on the left side. So we're going to come in, snip. Not even quite a quarter of an inch. I don't do great big dovetails. And then we also have a little more glitter paper because you can't have too much glitter paper. So this one's going with the lots of love. So we're going to dovetail it on the same end. Although if we did it on the wrong end, it wouldn't matter because we can just turn the whole thing upside down. There we go. And then on this one, we'll dovetail it as well. A little snip in the center and then come in from both sides. It's hard to see the snip in the center on glitter paper, just giving you that warning. But, you know, you can, by guess and by golly, your way through that. Add a little adhesive here. Like so. And then we're going to attach this. We're just going to kind of eyeball it. We're starting on the side of the card for this. And stick it on sort of straightwise. And then let's add some adhesive here. Now, if you've ever glued anything to glitter, you know that this double-sided adhesive is not going to hold it. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting double-sided adhesive on the top side, and then on the bottom, I'm just going to add some liquid glue, because liquid glue is going to work better on the glitter. Again, this one starts right at the side. We're overlapping a little bit onto that glitter. So pretty. And then we're also going to add these two together. And I think the easiest thing to do for this is just to go ahead and add some glue to the bottom, like so. And then stick it right on there. It's been going on about halfway, like that. And then we're going to flip it over. And wiggle it around a lot. We're going to flip it over and we're going to add some foam tape on the back. What did I do? My thin foam tape again. And if we add our foam tape right on the divide between those two pieces, that will help everything stick together. Because not only is it stuck to each other, but the foam tape is holding it in place as well. So it won't slide around as much. And there we go. And then this is going to get added onto the top of our cute little box, just on a jaunty little angle like that. The last thing we have to add from our kit is some clear sparkles. And so those come in the kit as well. Now in the instructions, I'll show you what they did first. They're going to add some here. I like using my piercing tool because you can pick them up and you can move them around. So they added a couple down here like this, and then one down here like this, and then the last one they added up here like this. And in my estimation, I wanted more than just that one little one randomly sitting by itself up there. So I added more. Because I can do that. Because I don't have to do it exactly the way they say. So I added one up there in the sky. And then one more. And that created my nice little triangle there. That made me happy. And there we go. That is our finished card number 1 from the Friendly Borders Card Making Workshop Kit. And oh my goodness. Isn't that so sweet? We started out. We had our card base. We've got our ballerina paper loaded up with the Sundance, the Rosy, that new color. Look at, isn't that beautiful? And then the silver glitter and the lagoon. Then we've got our sentiments added on top, dovetailed to make them look really pretty. And then this cute little scene that we've created with some inking, some stamping, some coloring, layering with the foam tape to create that beautiful dimension. Oh my goodness. Love, love, love. I'm so excited. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that come together. The card kit makes 3 of these plus a few more. I forget how many altogether. Let me see. One quick way to figure that out would be to count how many card bases are in the kit. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Slimlines, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 standard cards. But of course, once you've completed what's in the kit, you have your lovely stamp set that you can use as much as you want to create as many cards or layouts as you like. All right, I hope you enjoyed that and are excited. And take a look at the National Scrapbooking Day special. We also have a National Scrapbooking Month special. 2 different things going on at the same time. And see what you can see in there. There's a bunch of different workshops for National Scrapbooking Day. And actually close to my heart is live right now, today and yesterday, going through all those workshops. So you get like a walkthrough along with your kit, which is awesome if you're somebody who's a visual person and wants to see somebody create it like I just did. All right, have a wonderful afternoon, and we will be back on this evening at 7 o'clock for Chat and Craft. See you then. Toodaloo. Bye.